Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I spent the last 6 years unlearning my old habits, the ones that are rooted in self-doubt, impulse buying, and the need to look like I had it all together. For years, I thought if I just had more money, everything else would just fall into place. But the truth is, I didn't have a money problem. I had a very strong self-image problem. How I saw myself, what I believed I deserved, and what I thought I was capable of quietly shaped every financial decision I made. I used to spend constantly chasing confidence I didn't feel inside. Designer bags, beauty treatments, and I told myself that these things made me that girl. But deep down, I was just trying to build a version of myself I didn't believe in yet, and those brands, they knew exactly what they were selling. Not products, but identity. It wasn't about that expensive lipstick or a designer bag. Those were just the entry points. And before I knew it, I was stuck in a loop of buying to feel enough, only to end up right back where I started. So in this video, I want to share the lessons that helped me finally break the cycle, how I rebuilt my relationship with money from the inside out, because once you start understanding the connection between your self-image and your finances, you will stop trying to buy your worth and start actually building it. The first step was auditing my money beliefs. Most people try to fix their finances with a new side hustle or a tighter budget, but they rarely stop and ask why they handle money the way they do. The truth is, our financial behavior usually comes from our financial beliefs, and those beliefs start forming way long before we even earn our first paycheck. Me personally, I grew up very poor and we didn't have extra money lying around, and no one really sat me down to explain how to manage my money when I got my first paycheck. I wasn't taught how to budget or save because honestly, there was nothing to save at the end of the month. What I was taught though was that money was abundant in a spiritual sense. So the people around me would say things like, money comes and goes, so don't be scared to spend, or God will provide when times are tough. And while that mindset came from a place of faith and hope, which we really needed at that time, it also made me a very reckless adult when I first got money. I internalized the idea that money wasn't something to plan for, it was something that would just show up when I needed it. Also, when I got to school, I started to notice something that shifted how I saw money even more. I went to school with a lot of kids from middle class and upper middle class families, and their lives looked so different from mine. Their homes, their clothes, the ease with which they talked about vacation or basically anything that could be bought with money was really like eye-opening for me. And I remember thinking, oh, so this is what success looks like. But I didn't actually know how to get there. I didn't know what stability actually meant, only what I thought it looked like. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you're enjoying this video, and hit that post notification bell if you want to see more content from me. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get back to the video. So I did what I thought made sense. I tried to look successful. In my mind, looking like I was doing well meant that I was doing well. And I didn't understand that those kids' stability didn't come from what they or their families bought. It came from what their parents understood about money, from structure, habits, and consistency. But I didn't know that yet, you know? I just felt that spending made me feel closer to the life I saw when I was younger, even if it was only temporary. So when I started to make my own money, I carried all those beliefs with me. On the surface, I was working hard, treating myself, but deep down, my money choices were driven by a mix of insecurity and inherited ideas that didn't serve me. And if I'm honest, my beliefs were very, very tangled. On one hand, I was raised to think that money would always find its way to me. On the other hand, I had this deep-seated feeling of lack, that I had to look successful to prove that I was doing okay. And that belief alone kept me broke for a very long time, which is why I always tell people, before you change what you do with your money, you have to understand what you believe about it, because until you do that, you'll keep repeating the same cycle even when you start making more money. So a simple exercise that helped me start untangling my own beliefs was that I wrote down every thought that came to mind about what I thought and knew about money. And I didn't overthink this part, I just wrote down everything. So I wrote down things like, money is very stressful for me. I'll never get ahead. I'll never be the same as the people around me. Money comes and goes, so it doesn't matter what I do with it today. I'm bad at saving because I never had any money saved up, even though I was earning enough to save some of it. Then I looked at each belief and asked, is this actually a fact, or is this something I've been conditioned to think? And that question alone is very, very powerful. You might realize that half of the things you believe about money aren't even yours. They're hand-me-downs from your environment, your family, or your fears. Once I saw that, I started rewriting my beliefs, not in a fake manifesting way, but in a grounded, logical way. I changed "I'm bad with money" to "I'm learning how to handle money better every single day." And I changed "money comes and goes" to "money can actually stay and grow when I manage it intentionally." And I know that these things sound very small, but when you come from a background similar as mine, those tiny reframes really changes everything. Because the moment you start planting those seeds in your brain and actually start seeing yourself as a capable person who can handle money, even when you're not perfect, that's when your entire relationship with money starts to shift. So while I was working on my money beliefs in the background, the next shift was learning to pay myself first and actually meaning it. I used to do what most people do: pay my bills, buy what I needed, treat myself, and then try to save whatever was left in the end. But of course, there was never anything left. So I totally flipped the script and started paying myself first, before rent, before groceries, before anything that was an expense. I made sure that some of my money went straight into savings or investments, because here's the thing: every time you pay yourself first, you're reminding yourself that your future matters, that you actually matter. It's not about saving, it's a form of self-respect. And when I thought about it that way, it made me realize something very important. When I was buying those expensive things, when I was spending money every day on trivial things, I was trading away nearly $1,000 every month that could have gone towards my freedom fund, my investments, or even a weekend trip that could have fed my soul. I was handing that money over to a brand or a store, someone that knew I'd pay for the illusion of being put together. So if you want to start this habit, the best time to do it is on a payday. I would transfer a small percentage into savings first, label it something that feels empowering, like "this is for the future me," or "this is my freedom fund." Then budget the rest and remind yourself that you're not depriving yourself, you're actually investing in your long-term peace. And please do not take money out of that account, even though it might feel so tempting to do so. Don't do it. It is so important that you have self-control and discipline here, because that money will grow and it will serve you in the future. The third mindset shift I did was learning to see money as life energy. I read this idea in a book and it completely changed the way I see spending. Every dollar represents a slice of your time and energy. So let's say you make $20 an hour, but after taxes and bills, you really only have $5 left of spendable money. That means that every $40 impulse buy is actually 8 hours of your life. So let's say you're tempted to make a $700 purchase. That is about 140 hours of your life, which equals a whole month of full-time work. When you start seeing money in this way, you realize that spending isn't just a transaction, it's an exchange of your life energy. And that perspective honestly changed a lot for me. This came up for me recently. I hadn't been in a mall for a couple of months because I usually shop online when I need to, and I've learned to stay away from temptation. But I had to stop by a store the other day to pick up something on a whim. It happened to be inside a mall. So the second I walked into the mall, I was seriously hit with a rush of newness, the lighting, the colors, and all of these other things. And for about 2 minutes, I felt completely like in awe. I felt this little spark of, this feels so good. Everything is so pretty and nice. Every store had like prepped up for fall. So everything was really pretty. And then it just clicked. I looked around and realized, wait, this is all just stuff I've been trying to avoid. It's polyester, plastic, cheap quality stuff that will lose their shine in a couple of weeks. And suddenly I saw it for what it was. Companies are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing designed to trigger exactly that emotional response I had. And all of this is carefully crafted to make me want to spend. And in that moment, something flipped. I thought, no, you're not going to win today. You're not getting my money, and I'm going to be strong and I'm going to get what I was here to get and go home. It wasn't about depriving myself of new and fun things. It was more about being aware that, okay, this is not the goal today. I'm going to get what I need and I'm going to head out. So all that to say, that quick moment in the store reminded me that those emotions, the fantasy of something new, is always temporary. When you take a step back and see for what it really is, you actually gain so much more power back. So before every purchase, ask yourself, is this worth trading hours of my life for? And have I felt this will make me feel much better excitement before? And if the answer is yes, and you know that the feeling fades, please just skip the purchase, because there is no such thing on a good deal on something that doesn't make your life meaningfully better. Please leave a comment down below if you found this video helpful, or if there is anything else you want to see. and I'll try my best to make that as well. The next thing I learned was the importance of giving every dollar a job. I used to hate budgeting because it felt so restrictive, like I was taking my freedom away. I grew up with this saying, money comes and goes, so just spend it, right? So budgeting was the total enemy. But the truth is, I didn't actually understand what a budget was. Once I learned about zero-based budgeting, everything changed for me. And it's not about restriction again, it's about clarity and direction. It means that every single dollar you earn gets a purpose before the month even begins. So here's how it works in the simplest way possible, and honestly, it's a system that made me feel like I was finally in control of my money instead of constantly chasing it. First, I would list my monthly income, and every source counts here. The main paycheck, the side hustles, anything consistent. Then you list all of your expenses. That means your rent, groceries, subscriptions, savings, and even the small things you tend to forget like coffee runs or your Spotify bill. Next, you subtract your expenses from your income until the number hits zero. That's where the zero-based part comes in. It doesn't mean that you have spent everything. It just means that every dollar that is an income has been assigned somewhere. Some of it goes to savings, some of it goes to investments, some bills, and yes, some also goes to fun money. After that, you track all of your expenses all month long. I used to actually avoid checking my bank account because it made me feel so anxious. I knew that the number was much lower than what I started with that month, but that avoidance kept me in the dark for a very long time, and I don't do that anymore. Now I do a quick 5-minute check-in once a week. I just look at where my money actually went and compare it to my original plan with no guilt and just awareness. Finally, I make a new budget before the month begins, and each month is a fresh start. You'll have different priorities, new expenses, maybe a birthday gift to plan for, and that is totally okay. You're just updating the plan so your money continues to work for you and the plan that you have set for your future self. Once I got into this rhythm, I started noticing something. My anxiety around money started to fade, and there was something deeply calming about knowing where everything was going. And to make it even more intentional, I started splitting my savings into what I call money pots. I had one for emergencies, one for travel, one for investments, and even one for style and beauty and makeup and such. I know that might sound silly or too controlling, but pretending that I didn't care about those things just led me to overspend on them later because I never tracked what I was actually spending. So setting boundaries, even for fun spending, helped me express myself without losing total control. And this approach also stopped me from falling for what I call the entry point trap. You know, the one where one little purchase snowballs into an identity you keep trying to maintain over and over, but there's nothing there actually. It starts with a lipsticks that cost way too much than a $300 bag charm, and before you know it, you've justified a $700 planner because it fits the aesthetic. Giving every dollar a job made those moments a lot easier to resist because I knew what that money was already supposed to be doing that month. So when you give your money purpose, it's not about saying no to things, it's about saying yes to what actually matters. And that's how you turn budgeting from a chore into an act of self-respect. Then I had to learn to live below my means. Living below your means doesn't mean cutting out all joy. It means defining what enough looks like for you. It's not about deprivation, it's about peace. When your self-worth stops depending on your next purchase, you're gonna finally start feeling free. You stop buying to prove something and you start saving because you already know your worth. So whenever you get a raise or a bonus, try to resist the urge to upgrade everything around you. Instead, try to save and invest a chunk of that and track how much of your raise you keep, not how much more you want to spend in the future. I also stopped using credit cards as a crutch. For a long time, I swiped my card without thinking, always promising I'd pay it off the next month, but I never did. The debt weighed on me for a long time, both financially and emotionally, and my rule now is very simple. If I can't pay for it in full today, then I can't afford it. Paying my balance in full became a reflection of integrity, and each time I did it, I reminded myself that I could be trusted with money, and that was very empowering. Another big shift was learning to let time work for me instead of against me. You can't control the market when you're investing, but you can control your consistency in the market. The earlier you start, the more time does the heavy lifting for you. Investing isn't about being a genius, and we hear it constantly that time in the market beats timing the market, and it's actually wild how consistent that is. So try your best to be consistent, patient, and steady in your investments. I also had to learn to reframe my setbacks. When I made financial mistakes in the past, I used to shame myself. Like truly, I was so disappointed. Whenever I got my next paycheck, I'd say, I'm never gonna be the same person I was last month. I was like, I'm gonna be a better person this month and do much better. But that never actually happened because I didn't have a way to track what I was doing. So now when I make a financial mistake, I treat it as data. After any mistake, I ask myself, okay, what actually happened here? Was I trying to feel something? What did I actually learn? And what can I do differently next time? Those answers always led to growth and less guilt. Finally, I learned to rewire my financial identity. Every time you pay your bill on time, you tell yourself that you're a financial responsible person. Every time you save before you spend, you tell yourself that you respect your future self. These actions tell you who you are. Every time you choose not to buy something just to feel better, you tell yourself, I'm grounded and I'm in control. I started writing identity statements that reminded me of who I was becoming. I'm the kind of person who saves before I spend. I'm the kind of person whose confidence is internal and not conditional. I'm the kind of person who plans for the future. And the more I repeated them, the more they started to feel true. So you can't really out-earn a poor self-image. You can make all the money in the world, but if you still see yourself as someone who's bad with money or not enough, you will find a way to lose it. So start by changing what normal means to you. Make savings automatic, see money as life energy, live below your means and pay yourself first always. And remind yourself that true wealth doesn't begin in your wallet, it begins in how you see yourself. Because the moment you stop trying to buy your worth and start believing you already have it, everything about your financial life begins to change. If this resonated with you, give it a like, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more conversations about money, confidence, productivity, and self-worth. And remember, you don't have to buy the story that you're almost enough. You already are. Comment down below what your favorite financial advice is, and maybe you'll help someone out. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.